Hello and welcome to this episode of The Big Picture. As usual, big picture with big conversations here. Justine, I'm not doing this alone. My name is Tom Mukhwana. I'm handling this with Justine Wanda, my co-host. But this is a specifically interesting show, just because it's not about topics that you're used to hearing The Big Picture speak about. It's not about Chan, although it's really about sports. It's not about Chan, it's not about politicians and the nasty things they do week in, week out, although we never run out of topics on that end. This topic today is going to be about esports, specifically streaming. The intersection between esports and streaming, they exist within the same ecosystem. We have two guests to speak on that today. We have, first of all, Queen Arrow, who's also known as Sylvia Gadoni. She's a Kenyan esports athlete. Queen Arrow, correct me if I'm wrong, the only Kenyan signed by Red Bull.
Yeah,
am I right?
The first Kenyan Red Bull athlete.
First Kenyan Red Bull, the only one at the moment.
Yeah, I was signed with Karan Patel, a rally racer.
Brilliant. She does pro gaming for a living mostly, but she's also a trained lawyer. That's a crazy direction to take, Queen Arrow. I think we'll get into that in a bit. But also we're joined by Ronnie Lusigi, who's the president of the Esports Federation Kenya. He also says he's the youngest president in the country. We'd love to hear what the federation is doing, but this conversation is going to be pegged around Twitch pulling out of Kenya and suspending monetization for Kenyan content creators. And Queen Arrow herself was where this conversation was birthed. But ladies and gentlemen, we have a country that has just gotten knocked out of Chan Manze. I don't know how you guys feel about that. Me, I feel bad because I'm also a United fan. But Queen Arrow,
I'm indifferent. I mean, you reap what you sow.
What a way to start the show.
Wow. Harambee Stars wanakula L Nara Shoja. Honestly, I feel bad for the athletes because I'm pretty sure they like put in a lot of work to get to where they wanted to get to, but also it's kind of like next time sipe defenders wacheze penalties. Like, please, I'm asking the coaches, I'm asking whoever's in charge, like, please. Yeah. Just like a better framework for the penalty situation. Yeah. But otherwise, Harambee Stars really tried, I think.
I don't refute.
As a life member of FC Leopards, I blame Gor Mahia and its leadership for destabilizing the Harambee Stars camp. On a serious note, we were doing well until that deputy patron of Gor Mahia started raiding the Harambee Stars camp. Signing FC Leopard players in the middle of the night.
He's not here to defend himself.
Yes, but I don't know even who's being attacked.
I've never seen in my life any major competition. In the middle of that major competition, players are being called to offices to sign deals.
But it's okay. It happens everywhere. We are in the middle of the transfer window all over the world. It's like the mood that's going around. But Ronnie, I know you feel deeply about this. Mashemeji Derby is not going to play out on this specific show.
I don't refute that they tried, but using money as an incentive for them to play better is no way to build an infrastructure and ecosystem. It's putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot.
Band-Aid solutions, right? And I think, Justine, Malkia Stars, that was a brilliant example of what a Band-Aid solution doesn't solve.
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a few. Wacha tu tuongele esports athletes kwanza.
Tutafika huko.
Yeah.
But Queen Arrow, you birthed this conversation literally on your Instagram stories, and you put out a screenshot of what was notification from Twitch, the streaming platform, and your caption was, "This is what bad governance / policies gets you." What happened?
So it was just like some 4 days ago in the evening. I just got the email from Twitch, but I was just like, okay, I think I'll just talk about this in the morning. So I really wanted to fire some, let me just say, expletives, but I just said to be as rational as possible and just say that this is what bad governance gets us, because the specific wording that Twitch used was due to recently imposed policies. So I was just like, okay, this can't be the policies from 2024. So the only law that I know came into that passed was the Finance Bill 2025, and it had some clauses regarding digital tax, something along the lines of 3%, if I'm not wrong. And I was like, I think this means that Twitch had to now start having like some taxes they'd have to withhold, and on top of that, that since they're a non-resident platform in Kenya, that they're going to have to like add some more taxes to the government, and that has to be remitted. So they felt that this wasn't a sustainable environment to continue growing. So they said they'd be fully withdrawing and offboarding the Kenyan creators in September. So that's why I wrote bad governance, because the only reasonable thing is the finance bill.
I'd like us to just slow down a bit. Twitch is a platform that Justine, myself, and Ronnie would know, and a few other people in this room. But so many Kenyans don't know what Twitch is, which is why this conversation is really important to have, because at the core of it is bad policies. Do you want to take us through, first of all, what Twitch is, what this means for Twitch creators, and how this whole thing made you feel?
So Twitch is basically a platform for gamers where they can do streams of any games, and they can also do IRL, which means in real life streams. So it's a company that came into being in 2012. It was a couple of years ago, it was acquired by Amazon under its umbrella. So think of it as YouTube, but for gamers, essentially. So one thing I loved about Twitch is that it offered me a chance to earn some small coins when I was in university. Like, I mean, $100 can go a long way as a Kenyan student. And then on top of that, it introduced me to a wider audience in North America, in Europe, in Asia. So there's a lot of people who'd come onto my stream, they'd support me, and they'd give me like stuff like donations, they'd subscribe, I'd get beats and cheers, which are just additional avenues for earning on the platform. And so now for Kenyan creators, I think the fact that Twitch withdrawing its services in Kenya means that, yes, we can still stream on the platform, we can still get the audience, but you can't earn anymore unless through donations. And I don't think that's really fair, because if there's no, like, I'd say financial incentive, which is, it's part of the reason, but it's not the core reason why people earn, but it's a huge incentive as to why people do what they do, then it's a loss for the platform, because people won't get to see what Kenya and Africa as a whole is all about. So that's, I think, a loss for the world as well.
Ronnie, to piggyback off of what Queen Arrow said, players who are part of your federation cannot make money anymore because of a government policy that was slid into the finance bill. How does that make those players feel, seeing that you're the person who represents them?
First of all, it's wrong. That policy that introduced more taxes to digital platforms, it points to the teething problem we've had as a nation, where decision makers are not in tune with the reality on the ground. Or it also points to this global challenge that governments have when it comes to matching their policies with advancing technology. Technology seems to be moving faster. It also, on our side, is an indictment, because we should do better in terms of representation. We should be ahead, or we should get ahead of policy regulators. We should knock those doors. We should not assume that all will be well. We should be active participants, especially in policy making, because, again, one of our biggest challenge, we don't participate, and we let people who don't understand digital platforms. They are targeting another platform, and they're not aware of other emerging platforms. So for me, I think we really need a rethink on how we create policies on the digital economy.
I think you're saying we need a rethink of the policy, but like, and this is a question to you both. I'm very curious on what like a live policy would look like for something like Twitch, even if it's just spitballing, because I'm not like an esports athlete, but I do know my friends who want to get into it, and it's very heartbreaking to see someone with Queen Arrow's track record and all the statistics that she has behind her have to lose revenue, and there's no kind of supporting structure to follow up on like something that's been taken from her. So from both of you, what would be like a live policy look like to protect emerging digital spaces and to protect people who want to get into these particular spaces?
Okay, I think honestly not everything in this country needs to be taxed, if I'm being honest. Because I know like regions like the UAE, I don't think they even bother touching it with digital tax. Like, all I know is like at most they're coming for 2 million shillings, which is a drop in the ocean in terms of the revenue targets that they're trying to reach with the new finance bill 2025. I think this is one sector that they could have done without. And I think if I recall correctly, once Kibaki came into power in 2003, I do remember that he reduced the amount of tax, saying that I'm not going to tax anything for the next, let's say, 2 or 3 years. Then after that time period comes, to allow people to have money in their pockets, then that's when I'm going to start coming in with charges. So if, let's say, they'd created something like, we're not going to touch the digital sector, we're going to create incentives that allow you guys to come with money into your pockets, then maybe like 2 or 3 years from now we can come revisit that issue. I think that would have been a boon. In all honesty, it would have been a show of goodwill for the Kenya Kwanza administration, but we don't have any leaders with foresight, unfortunately.
I agree with her. That's because we think it's a very small thing. So to the biggest decision makers, they're like, wonder, handle that digital tax. They're honestly listening to people who don't have a clue about this. Also, I'll go back to our side on organization. I am a sports federation. Even a footballer can be earning from Twitch. I've done a gaming activation with Victor Wanyama. He can easily go to Twitch and create gaming content because he is a gamer and earn from there. So is it the duty of FKF or Esports Kenya Federation? There is a need in our digital economy for us to organize, especially young people to organize, and not this press conference they do every time at, oh, creators, now we have been touched. That is not organization. That is reaction. Digital creators need to organize. And everything boils down to politics. Organize, structure yourselves, and have a voice. But doing press conferences is okay. It's venting. She did vent on Instagram. But what next?
But that's why your federation exists.
Yes, that's why the federation exists.
I'm trying to tell you, from a policy perspective, my federation is to look at competitions. Okay, it's to look at sport. Twitch centers on the digital economy. I am under the office of the sports registrar. Okay, that's why I've given an example of Victor Wanyama. You can be a big streamer on Twitch. You don't need to be the best player like Queen Arrow. You just need to be a good streamer doing gaming content. Therefore, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok fall under ICT. But the ICT ministry or the ICT committee in parliament, who do they talk to about digital platforms policies in Kenya? It's random call people for chai. As long as you have my friend Kido, SPM Buzz is there. You have another creator, Sports Eye is there. You have Kevin Tear of sports. Now you've and people in this digital economy have gotten used to that. That will be called for one meeting. Personally, I believe in action. That is the reason I was in private. I was running a private esports company. This is the reason I took part in politics to become president of Esports Kenya Federations, because I believe through my actions and inactions, I will make some change.
Twitch is, however, a platform that is mostly used by gamers.
Yes.
I think your federation can play a huge part
in advocacy.
Yes, in advocacy. Yes, which is exactly what this whole conversation has been saying.
Yes.
That it's important for your federation to do that. I understand that content creators and Instagram, but then those are not touched because they fall under different regime. And the reason streaming is essentially targeted by this specific law is because Twitch as a platform feels it's expensive for them to set up a local operation to handle all these complicated tax obligations.
Yes.
Now, for you, it's important that you protect the people that are within that gaming community because they are content creators / gamers. They're gamers first, then content creators second.
Yes.
Don't you feel the same?
I agree with you, Mukwana. And I agree with you that we should put our voice in there. I just add that we need to structure that voice. And sometimes we all have plates.
Yeah. Isn't that somewhere to start, though? To start structuring them?
Yes, it is. But we all have plates.
Yeah.
And our plates can only take so much food.
But I'm asking these questions because as much as the population is not that big, statistics as they have it is that 22% of Kenyans play games. And this includes mobile phone games.
And should be more.
E-games like e-football. On their phone, they might even play games like Candy Crush. That's still part of this percentage. But then the percentage is valid because speaking of a real life situation, is Queen Arrow, I think you can resonate with this. A lot of gamers have invested a lot of money into their gaming setup, the gaming rig, right? Because they expect Twitch as a platform to bring back the money. It's an investment into their passion. I'm just curious to hear, Queen Arrow, you and your experience with all of that because you 100% have invested in your gaming.
And just like as an addition, like what does it take, what does it look like to set up the...
Yeah.
I think something is being lost in this conversation where when someone looks at you play, they're like, oh, maybe it's like you got support for you to get like the entire setup that you have. Like what kind of, it doesn't have to be a number, but like what kind of investment does it take for you to have all the facilities you need to even just practice and get really good at the sport?
Without necessarily providing a number, the first thing I remember telling my parents is that I needed a PS4 to even just start playing. And, you know, that's something they were reluctant about because they thought I was gambling, literally.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate thing about the law that in Kenya right now is that gaming is synonymous with gambling. And I just told them that you just buy me this one thing, you'll never hear me ask you for any money for anything that I'll need again for gaming.
Yes.
They did me that solid. They got me the console. From there, everything that I've bought is with my own money because I've had to lay brick by brick by brick just to get everything that I have, from that gaming laptop that I have to that table. And I've been lucky enough that my career has allowed me to represent huge brands like Red Bull and Evnia, which has gotten me the other facilities that I need without having to put so much of my own money into that. And so the fact that this one revenue stream has gone because of my very myopic tax policies, it's a loss. And if someone feels like, if someone like Queen Arrow is affected or any other gamer that they admire, then what hope is there, there for them to get ahead in this esports field? Because we want to see an industry that thrives. And the fact that as long as our government does not have a philosophy that's hinged on people thriving, these kinds of policies will continue to exist. So this is just the warning shot, in my opinion. If you think it's bad, think it's getting worse.
Yeah. Do you share that feeling?
Of what getting worse?
Yeah.
Personally, the direction we look like we are heading is for the digital platforms. It's getting worse than it's getting better. And I agree with her. And something needs to change. A lot needs to change, not even something. A lot needs to change. We are not, every year it's getting worse. I don't remember the last time I had people in digital platforms after a finance bill saying everything is all right. And it goes back again to closed-mindedness of people handling our tax policy. They only look at the balance sheet and think, how can I get a chunk of this? They don't look at how can I expand this so that even if I pinch a small chunk of it, they won't be. Because I agree with her. we should look at a way, even if it's a tax break, and deliver resources towards growing the digital economy for 2 years, and say we're preparing the economy for 2 years, but the digital economy can be a huge contributor to Kenya's GDP. So for 2 years, we'll invest this and this and this, maybe in digital infrastructure, and there will be a tax break, in my view. And then after this period, we can start taxing it, and in this way. Because at the moment, it's reaction, and the problem with this action, reaction, inaction is that once it happens, it takes 12 months to correct. And 12 months, her landlord does not want to hear about you are waiting for another finance bill. Or if she had a daughter like me, that daughter needs to know where am I going to buy a new toy and other things. So it's very terrible.
And Justine, I don't know if you agree with this.
I do agree, but one of the things that I think is not being seen, and there's a lot of privilege that's attached, and as Queen Ara has pointed, like she got lucky that your parents were like, okay, we don't fully understand it, but we can get behind it even if we don't understand it. There are people who are on the other extreme end of things where you need way more community for them to be able to even build something. So I'm pretty sure there are people who play, I think, FIFA or like the e-football athletes. Like these particular people are more dependent on like maybe a community built thing. Like someone in the community has the resources, they set up the thing, then maybe if you're interested, you can get in there and
or
play.
Or sacrifice. There's a boy who's just won 500K 2 weeks ago. He's 20 years old. I know from a fact because he told me he was going to shop for a streaming setup. So if he already did that shopping, which is almost more than half of the price that he won, I feel for him because I know that boy. For 2 years, he's been coming closer to winning this major esports prize money. He's not winning. He's called Harry Kappa. This year is his year. He's won 500K. And now he's invested it in his streaming setup. After finishing the painting and setup, you are being told the Twitch you are running to is no longer there. It's very, who do you sell this to? And what do you do? Like it's...
What's the job of your federation? I'd want to get into that. What does your federation do?
Just like to piggyback off of that, I think also there's something that's being lost around like the privileges of like for someone to be able to set up, you need like a huge chunk of investment initially, right? We're not even talking about like you having enough to eat and a place to sleep for you to be able to even play, right? We're not even talking about the people who don't even have electricity or the internet, because all these things have not been fully invested in as they should be. So if, just to piggyback of like what the federation is doing, like what is the esports setup as it is now, because like they have 29 chapters, I believe. So if you have all these particular spaces and you're encouraging people to get into the esports space, right? What kind of structures are you pushing for in these chapters outside of Nairobi or outside of places that are more privileged or like outside of players who are more invested in, like Queen Ara? What does that look like so that we don't have this kind of situation where someone has interest but they can't even get into the sports?
Thank you, Mukwana and Wanda. And it's very important to answer this question. What is the Esports Federation of Kenya and what is its role? And we should start by understanding esports. And esports is born from video gaming. Kenya has a very, very huge video gaming culture, video gaming industry. He's mentioned stats say 22 million done by external actors. I believe it's even more. Kenyans play video games, isn't it? And annually, that's close to, I don't know, $165 million or something in revenue. Now, esports is the competitive side of video gaming. And that's why when we were starting this show, I said, many of the things we do are affected by policies in the digital economy. But be that as it may, the primary objective of the Esports Kenya Federation is to run esports competitions or to produce a conducive environment for esports competitions to run. What does that mean? People playing on PlayStation shops here and there, people playing online, is first to put people from casual video gaming, because everybody starts as a casual gamer, and to bring them in to competitive video gaming. Also, we have a duty to guide, as I said, produce a conducive environment, to guide the industry or the sport, the practice of esport in Kenya, because we have many private esports actors, whom without, we won't be where we are today. These people are crucial tournament organizers, but there's a need for us to have policies that will guide them, because tournament organizers also need to operate under the law that we have. They need to run fair and verifiable competitions. They need to run competitions where there is no favorism. Be that as it may, we also have a duty now to contribute to the growth of video gaming. And that's why I started with these two, because it's not easy from where we sit. Unlike other sports federations that are 50 years old, like FKF is older than Kenya, or Athletics Kenya. Esports Kenya Federation proper is 3 years old. It was established in 2018 on interim basis, only become fully constitutional in 2023. Esports Kenya Federation does not have an international body that can send it grants annually, like the Football Kenya Federation. You Chan, they're eliminated, they're getting what, 52 million. We don't have that. So we need to find local ways, innovative ways of raising resources.
So is that in the process?
We are already acting on that. That's why I said, for example, having spaces. Most talented gamers don't even have the equipment. In 2022, there's a Kenyan boy who went to Birmingham called Styles. He won a competition here and he didn't even have a PlayStation. It's the money he got from Commonwealth Esports Championship that he used to buy it. So what we have right now, we have a partnership with institutions. Our major one being Mount Kenya University. They have given us space. And last year, we did half of the task that they gave us, because space now means we should equip it. We've secured sponsorship from AOC Gaming, their gaming monitors that are now placed in MKU. We are now in the other half of looking for consoles and PCs to equip this place. And it will be our first training center. This means players who are talented can go there for intense esports sessions with a smart screen there, coaching. That is our plan. To have not only that, but many others. But in the circumstances that we are in, that is what we have. These monitors also are available for tournament organizers, because I know the pain of tournament organizers. Before, a sponsor has given you 200K and is demanding heaven and earth, and hiring equipment itself is 400K. So what we've done is these monitors are available for you to hire at a subsidized rate. The most recent example was, again, the tournament I've mentioned 3 weeks ago. There was a Betika Esports Championship. The tournament organizer of that tournament, Pro Series Gaming, hired equipment from the federation at half the market price. And we would like to have more of that. So for now, even you wonder, if you know someone who knows someone, and us, we give value. We give value. We try the most that we give you value. Tournaments that we've run or supported, you'll find the viewership doing 10K, 15K. Sponsors get that value. AOC monitors were in Kenya, and I did all my search. There was not one, since Kenya was born, one article on AOC monitors. Thanks to their partnership with the Esports Kenya Federation, just by announcing, over 18 articles, news articles were done. They've gotten value. We've given them market exposure. And this tournament you're mentioning, it was the players who were demanding. We will only play the fighting games with AOC monitors.
I'd badly want to hear that you answer this question, Ronnie. The cabinet secretary, the prime cabinet secretary, was in attendance in March at a tournament that your federation was hosting. And he made a promise that I will support esports in the country. Then this regulation comes in, which basically decimates a revenue or a revenue stream for pro gamers like Queen Arrow. Do you feel betrayed by that?
We must contextualize what the Prime Cabinet Secretary said. First of all, I start by thanking him for coming to an esports competitions. Why? It raises the profile of what we are doing. Many sponsors, partners you speak to, always ask you, is this thing legal?
Yeah.
She said, is this thing gambling? So by having His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi accept to attend our event, that is a stamp of recognition.
Yeah.
It shows you at the highest level that Kenya is accepting esports.
Yeah.
Back to my monitors, just to juxtapose with this, the one item that made us go over the line to get this sponsorship from Dubai, they had our proposal for over 6 months. But when in a graduation ceremony, the chairman of Mount Kenya University, Professor Gisharu, mentioned that they are opening this esports facility, AOC were hooked. So when our Prime Cabinet Secretary comes to our event and says, we will support esports, being there itself, it's support.
But does that translate to actual policy?
Secondly now, it comes to what next. You've attended. You've said you'll support. What next? Through his office right now, we've been able, because we look for partners mainly from established esports, esports economies. We've been able now to start discussions with the UAE, who are a very established esports nation, in coordination with the Kenyan embassy in the United Arab Emirates, led by Ambassador Kenneth Nganga. We are now in the pipeline to getting a partnership. So he is not a sports minister, but there is what he can do in his capacity as a foreign affairs minister. It may not be loud, but I can tell you for a fact, for many of the engagements he's gone in foreign capitals, he has lobbied for Kenyan esports to be supported by these partners, and we follow up on it.
That remains to be seen. Justine?
So, this is... wacha nipumue kwanza. I think the thing that, like a very big pitfall for a lot of the industries in Kenya right now, is it needs to be legitimized by a politician or like by someone in government. Their stamp of approval, whether it's showing up in like you've said, 1 year in the digital economy is a whole different ballgame. Everything could change, right? So if me shaking the hand of someone who is in government and then them doing this entire tour in a different country to represent, doesn't that kind of water down the work that an esports athlete like Queen Arrow, who has a track record, like doesn't her existence legitimize the sport enough for it to be a standalone thing without needing their approval? And I want
Do you know UFC?
And I also want to hear from her as a person who plays the sport, why her personal recognition, like she doesn't have to do all the work. The government can facilitate, but their presence doesn't have to legitimize her as an athlete.
And I agree with you.
That's the conversation I'm trying to have.
And I didn't mean it's legitimizing.
That's a place of contention, at least for me, where I would ask her how she navigates a space where she has to get like a stamp of approval by someone showing face, instead of like her qualifications as an athlete with an impeccable record.
Her craft needs to be legitimized. That's why every sport in this world looks for an opportunity to become an Olympic sport. It does not mean if you're not an Olympic sport, you're a useless sport. But there's a legitimacy that being part of the Olympic rings gives a sport. You see, skating, look at what happened to it. Rugby sevens, what happened to it when it got to the Olympics. The value of that sport rises. Trump attends UFC, for example. He's a big fan of UFC. Madison Square Garden is a private establishment. UFC is a private company. But the presence of Donald Trump in UFC fights has made some people, even outside America, who aren't following UFC, to follow it.
Not really.
That's UFC, not true.
It has hardened the right-wing stance of UFC, which has made it go a different tangent. But
and like UFC was
that's
actually
local politics. But UFC gets their money, the biggest money, as any other sports institution, is from viewership.
By people buying pay-per-views. But then it's not even paying its athletes well, but that's a terrible example.
It's a terrible example.
No, it's a practical example, because if UFC through Donald Trump, UFC has got more viewers and more revenue. They have the internal things. We could give another example. We could go to esports that's currently happening and say Cristiano Ronaldo attending the esports World Cup. It raises the profile of the esports World Cup.
You understand, those are two different things. Cristiano Ronaldo is literally considered one of the greatest of all time in the sport. His legitimacy is tied to how well he plays the sport. This has nothing to do with him being a politician, right? So him showing up to the Arab League, to the what league, in this studio, if you showed up here, you understand what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
His Royal Highness.
The person facilitated. Whether they're the face of it or not does not discount Cristiano Ronaldo as an athlete.
And I think the point they're trying to make is this. He built his career all on his own. He didn't have any, I don't recall him having any political godfathers, for lack of a better word, in Portugal to facilitate his rise. And the only reason why Mohammed bin Salman went to him is because of his stature as a footballer.
Yes,
exactly.
That's the point they're trying to make.
So the reason Mudavadi came is because of the stature of esports. He is coming to esports because of the stature of esports.
But
if esports was, sorry to say, if it was squash,
my next question,
maybe he's not coming.
My next question,
but I don't hold brief for him.
My next question, Ronnie, is to Queen Arrow. I see this as a lack of imagination by the government. I was just speaking to someone off camera, somebody who's a gamer who's looking to go pro, who can't earn from Twitch anymore. He was saying that every time you go to a pro event, some of them, you have to carry your monitor with you. Speaking of monitors, you have to carry your monitor with you because this is such an underfunded and underappreciated space that needs more attention. How I would have approached it is through policy. If you want to import a GPU, I make it a stance politically and policy-wise in the tax regime to make sure that you don't pay import duty. That's a deliberate effort to reduce the cost of going pro, from a mobile gamer to a pro gamer who can earn an income. But that's not what the government is doing. It's doing speeches at the events and less policy making. I don't know how that makes you feel, Queen Arrow.
I feel resentful because I think the fact that my career may always be at the mercy of political patronage does not make me feel good, because I've built this career all on my own and with the goodwill of a few private actors who've been willing to facilitate my rise as an esports athlete. And now that the fact that myopic government policies are hindering my dreams from coming to fruition, it doesn't bode well for the future of this country, because it captures the imagination in that the only way that you can make your way through anything, be it as an esports athlete, be it as a game dev, be it as what, is only if we have the right kind of political connections. And I think this country needs a reset in that regard. We need a reset on our imagination. And we need to find a new definition of what constitutes work. If you continue using the definition that was left behind by our former colonial masters, then we're always going to be bound to be history repeaters and not history beaters.
Interesting thoughts. Justine?
I absolutely love, because like I usually talk about imagination all the time, and people are like, oh, Justine, you're such a whimsical. I'm not a whimsical creature. I am actually, like, your imagination actually builds the future that you want to have, and I love that you pointed that out. But also, I just have two last questions for the two of you. What does, like, for a lot of people who are just hearing esports, what are the, like, if you would imagine like a functioning esports world, what would that look like to you as an esports athlete, and what would that look like for you as someone who runs the federation?
Wow. Okay. I think for me, a functioning esports world means that our actual real world politics is functioning. And one thing I've always wanted to see is an Africa where we don't have to apply for visas anymore to travel within our own continent. Like, imagine the African Union coming to fruition where we have only one passport. And if today I wanted to go to Togo to participate in a tournament, that because all the facilities are there. Yeah. Today I'm in Togo, tomorrow I'm in South Africa, tomorrow I'm in Egypt. And I'm just doing that at a cheap to non-existent price. The same way someone who wants to travel from the UK to go to France can only pay maybe at most £150. That would be a dream, honestly, for this continent. And it means that I no longer have to travel outside of my home country and my home continent to get the success that is due and owed me.
Yeah. That's a very good dream.
For me, it's really two things. An ideal place, not just for esports, but for sports in our country, will be where the people with the money have more imagination. As sports federations or sports administrators, we are at a tight place. I can tell you authoritatively, only 5 brands in Kenya, 5, cut across, are serious about sponsoring or supporting sport. And I won't mention them here to market them. One has multiple sports teams and supports rally. Yeah. One annually supports golf and athletics. Another one supports multiple football team in the Kenya Premier League. And I don't want to go on. Yeah. The pool for us to get resources is so small. And it's because most of the people handling marketing dollars don't view sport as a place that is a bridge to their consumers. To me, which is a big misconception. Yeah. What does that leave us with? Patronage. That leaves us with politicians taking advantage of us. That leaves us with Messiah syndrome. Yeah. That leaves us with difficult choices. But secondly, what I'd like in an esports perspective is for facilities. And I trust that esports facilities are not as expensive as the traditional sports facilities. You need nice amphitheaters with nice space for people to compete, a nice space for people to do some streaming work. I was impressed with, there's a facility called Esports Integrated in Malaysia. It's a wonderful place. They built it with around an equivalent of 250 million Kenyan shillings. It has got streaming rooms. It has got a hall for people to compete, and it has got hall for people to train. Yeah. For me, 3 or 4 of such facilities would really take us to another level. And that starts with our policymakers reimagining sport. Yeah. Because in sports, what I came to learn the hard way, this is my camera. All animals are equal, others are more equal than others. You have your rugby, soccer, athletics, volleyball. No matter how futuristic your sport is, you'll pave way. Yeah. You'll pave way. That's now from a perspective of private sector and government. People are risk averse. I'd rather tell my boss I sponsored a mighty team like FC Leopards and they blew the sponsorship than telling him I tried 10% of that in esports and it went wrong because my boss knows FC Leopards. Oh, FC Leopards are silly. But if my boss does not know esports, so I am silly. Why did I go to FC Leopards and not rugby? Why didn't I go to soccer, rugby, athletics? So for me, it's an imagination change, as Wanda is saying and Quinaro. A cut across imagination change on what sports can do.
Yeah, a deficit of imagination, Justin. That's what we keep saying on this show, week in, week out.
Both of you just like knocked it out of the park. So I don't have much to say on this particular topic, but one of the things that I would just like to touch on is like a lot of esports athletes don't have a very long life span because they train very long hours, I think 12 to 16 hours. I don't know if that's correct. It's like a statistic. How long do you have to train?
Personally, I used to do 8 hours, but I just reduced it to 2 because it's not always about the quantity of time, it's about the quality of time. So I realized even if I'm just using 2-3 hours to practice, then and I'm actually getting value out of that practice time. It's better than me just spending like 16 hours. And either way, I don't want my entire identity being wrapped around being an esports athlete. Like I enjoy music, I enjoy movies, I enjoy documentaries. So there's so much. I love going to the gym. So
you have to live outside of just the
and
one
I enjoy reading books and comics. So.
Absolutely. I love that. I was just like, there's other people who are not as privileged to feel like they can have a life outside of esports. So maybe the thing that I would like to see is sports across the board not being diminished and not being thought of as, you've said, as in some people more equal than others. Like, I think one of the things that I would love to see, because I watch as many different sports as possible, I had to deculturize from like only watching the EPL to like watching as many. I watched the Women's World Cup, I watched the Women's Champions League, I watch men's rugby. Like, I try as much as possible to watch every single sport I can find, even if it's not with the commitment of an avid fan, just to understand what it takes to play the sport. So if there can be one fan like me who's interested in, even if it's just one sport, there you can make a whole bunch of fans, but you also have to allow them to enjoy the sports and not just kill them at every instant with your poor policy and your lack of imagination. I think it would be really, really good if Queen Arrow doesn't have to sit here to talk about her revenue being taken away and more about her statistics blowing up the entire world.
The system cannibalizes its own justine. And now that we're speaking about sports people away from esports, Malkia Stars, devastating. I mean, unasikia 2.5 million imepeanwa to individual players, and those people out there don't even have a shilling in their pocket.
Those are my girls, man. First of all, shout out to the Kenyan volleyball team, the women's volleyball team. They won the African Championships. I think I spoke about it like the other week. But seeing them having to put up a video being like, hey guys, like, that's so insane. Like, they've won a championship already, and I think they paid a lot of the costs for their travel, but they didn't give them the allowances. Allowances to a player is the money that helps put back food on the table at home, pay their rent, take care of their kids. So if their allowances are not paid, it means they're leaving behind a family in limbo. So if you can spare money and remember to reconfigure the kitty so that some of the money or all of the money is going to one side of the sport and forgetting a whole bunch of athletes, it means you do not care about sports in general. You don't care about the welfare of athletes. And it's just like, we have to keep repeating this, but you need to stop destroying the fabric of sports in this country. Athletes work too hard for this.
Alexander Ndola is a good example of that. Chooses to represent Kenya, and then Kenya shows zero support.
Yes, Angela Okutoi, if it's not for like literally Billie Jean King being like, I absolutely love this lady, you should watch her, and like everyone trying to put money into the ITF so that the tournaments that are played here are played. She probably, like, if she didn't have Auburn, the university that she goes to, I don't understand what would happen to her her tennis career. So honestly, it's like we're banging on a closed door, but I think we have to keep talking about our athletes. And again, what Queen Arrow said, like, we have to think about work in a different way. What everyone is putting into their fields matters so much. We can't keep knocking them down at every single instant.
Great way to end that sports side of things. I don't know what you two feel about this whole Shambles situation, but I'm pretty pissed about it, specifically because there was this case of a baby who was taken to India, and the government promised a certain amount. They didn't deliver. They had to fundraise all over again to treat this child's problems, not to pay off the debt that they had to that Indian hospital. The father comes back, raises the issue with the media, and the cabinet secretary, instead of fixing that problem, says that that whole situation is fake. It's made up by The Nation, which published the story, and then threatens to sue the journalist for breaking that story. A few weeks down the line, Shah is not allegedly, but people have shown valid evidence that millions of shillings are going to hospitals as small as one shop. Like, they say they have 20 beds for patients, but then it's a small shop set up somewhere in Mandera that doesn't even have tables to put the drugs on, much less even one nurse to attend to people. What do you feel about that, Ronnie? I know you have feelings about esports, but you definitely have feelings about healthcare in the country.
You got to have feelings about healthcare. And this whole situation, to me, is like, we changed the color of the house, but the remnants, the rooms, the furniture, is the same.
Yeah.
In the little I know about healthcare is that you have medical institutions that have perfected the art of robbing the nation through fraudulent claims.
Yeah.
And if these people are not being sorted, we can change the name of our National Health Insurance Fund, and now SHA, as many times as possible. But the root cause is, how do we sort the pilferage that is there?
Yeah.
Because it is clearly the question of there's a system for robbers that is working, and they've perfected it. It's only that it's like drug cartels. A new cop will just bring semblance for a week, but after some time, the new cop realizes his deputy is the same. Yeah. His OCS, if it's in Coast Region, they are all the same. His constables and other water view, they are all the same, and the system is the same.
Yeah.
So to me, it's very painful to see Kenyans having to go through something they shouldn't go through because of a system that is not functioning.
Yeah.
And I really don't know. I really don't know what can be done, because the promise was from SHA to NHIF, or from NHIF to SHA, we are going to progress. Again, some would argue, if you're a devil's advocate, that the stories we hear about SHA, people choose their side of the story. Yeah. Some will tell you it worked for them. Yeah. Some will tell you it didn't work for them. But just some will tell you, as you've rightfully said, there are kiosks
that are receiving millions.
Millions.
This is something we've said repeatedly on the show. Sorry to just jump in. Yeah. But just because something is working for you doesn't mean that that other person's problems and the inefficiencies that they're having to deal with because of this broken system are false.
Yeah, sure.
It's such an individualistic, selfish way of looking at things. The fact that you're getting what you need or a semblance of what you need, you have to discredit the other person's suffering. It's what happens in the political circle over and over again, where Harambee Stars gets 2.5 million, that means sports is doing fantastically in the country. The problem of Malkia Stars doesn't matter. The problem of Alexandra Ndolo and the government barely giving her support doesn't matter. I'll tell you what should solve this problem. Jail the thieves. It's as easy as that. There are enough laws to do that. But simple thing, lack of imagination, no political goodwill, everything falls apart. Queen Arrow, you have feelings about this? Because I know.
I mean, the only thing I'll say is the fish rots at the head.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, this is something that has been allowed to happen. And I think when we say the system is broken, I think that tends to be false. It's functioning exactly as it was intended to function. So I think until we have conversations around reforming the colonial state, I don't think we'll actually be able to have fruitful discussions about our education or our healthcare or our politics. I think we also need to have a philosophy which this country has lacked since 1963. Our philosophy is not hinged on people thriving. It's basically capitalism 101, and it's a few people thriving while the rest of us can go to hell.
We have a philosophy. It's only that we are ashamed of saying.
What's the philosophy?
Because it's a bad philosophy. We are a corrupt people. We don't like saying it, but that's the Kenyan philosophy.
Not Kenyans are corrupt. It's the political class that is corrupt. That's another folder, Justine, that if you open,
but we enable it. We the people enable corruption.
No, you
and
can't.
As you've said, when people, majority of people, I'm not saying all people, majority of people, when corruption works for them, they are silent.
Corruption doesn't work
when it does not work for them, they are loud. Like right now, we have these issues you're mentioning of healthcare. Many people are loud. A year or 6 months to election, handouts start reaching these people. Now corruption is working for them. He's buying a new sneaker. Corruption is working for them. He's a campaign manager. Corruption is working for him. Then after election, they are dumped. Corruption is working against them.
You cannot blame a hungry man for taking leftovers. That's exactly what is happening. You're taking away from the people. Then when you give them the 1% of what you took away from them that significant amount of money or food that you took out and stole from their table, and you give them scraps and the crumbs, if they take it, you turn it on them and you're like, oh, that's a you problem, you're the problem. I think this is a conversation that would take majority of the show, but I fundamentally disagree with that.
We need to change.
The politicians need to stop stealing money. But that's another conversation. I think we should invite you over for something else aside from esports, Manze. You can light this place up. But so many things that we can go on about over and over, Justine. But fundamentally, there's a policy problem in this country. And Queen Aro, do you have anything you want to close with for this specific session?
If I say what I think,
you mean trouble?
yeah, I don't want to be comfortable by a Subaru. So.
No, don't worry. This room is very soundproof. Usijali. The cameras can go off specifically for that. But no, jokes aside, this whole thing has been discussed at great length on this show, but we need to know what happens next.
Well, honestly, until we fix our education system, we fix our we're not fixing our politics, because this country cannot thrive on the policy that's made by the 3%. Everyone has a role to play in the great work ahead. You have a role, you have a role, I have a role, he has a role. The crew behind us, they have a role as well. So the moment we stop delegating it to our politicians who clearly show that they don't give a damn about us, then I'm sorry, there's no way this country is going. Everyone has to play their role.
Individual responsibility.
Yeah.
Ronnie, what next? I want you to specifically speak about the Twitch situation and support for esports.
For the Twitch situation, it's an unfortunate situation. I'd say for us, what next is to raise as much advocacy against this matter and many more other matters that affect the welfare of esports players. We have the Twitch situation. We also have criminal actors who organize competitions, promise prize money, collect registration fee from players, and flee. Some of them don't even flee. Some of them are very active, calling themselves esports experts. And they have claims of players, documented claims of players, asking for this money. It puts us in a tight space as a federation, because the little money you want to raise to support players, they are coming for you to use it as legal fees. And legal processes are tiresome. So we must speak out against bad policies. We must speak out against bad actors. And we must also unite towards proper causes. The biggest challenge we have in esports, as in other, let's say, creative industries, is a lot of individualism. People believing we don't need a body. We don't need an association. That thing has costed us and will continue to cost us. It translates even to the larger political scenario where we don't need a party or something like that. You need it. We need to organize, and I'm inviting everyone with passion, everyone with interests to join us in moving esports in Kenya forward. Because together we can do more. Today, we are calling on tournament organizers in esports to come together on a round table so that we can have common policies, which are not there. Many won't come. I'm smelling. Tomorrow BCLB can come and say esports is gambling. Then people will start coming. It happened to video game shops. You know, you've documented them. You've seen PlayStation shops being robbed. Our friends on PlayStation shops are also another example. It's better to unite before. I'm not shifting blame, but when the robberies are intense, there's a lot of unity. The WhatsApp group is active. When they come down, people can't even meet for tea. It cannot be that, as you said, we only meet when you believe you benefit. It should be we meet to mitigate injuries that may come to us. But the culture we have so far, people meet when they are hurt. People meet when they want to eat and other things. But as they say, what is lost in the fire will recover in the ashes.
What a way to end your statement. I agree. I fully agree with everything that you're saying, specifically because I'm a huge believer in unionizing. I think that's a problem with our country. We don't unionize enough around issues. We expect politicians to do it for us. Justine, you have something to say.
Honestly, that Shah story has made me so mad.
Yeah.
It's not just that the healthcare is being messed around with. So many people are dying. It's fundamentally, like, healthcare is a right.
Yeah.
It's like you being sick is something that is completely out of your control. And walking into a system that will literally throw you away, wakwambia, hey, cheers, bye, kama una pesa, I can't treat you, is a fundamental reduction of your value as a human being, and you're not even being thought of as someone of interest. The Health CS has come out to say all those healthcare facilities that were flagged by Kenyans over the weekend as being fake did not receive money after May because all of them were blacklisted.
Yeah.
But there's literal statements that show payouts went out in August. So if they were closed down in May, where are their receipts for August? Tafadhali, like, if you're gonna try and compensate for your incompetence, at least make it believable. Kenyans are losing money, not just on their paychecks, but when it comes to the most critical part of like, you have to pay double. If you don't have cash, utakufa tu, and that can't be our healthcare policy. Our healthcare policy, again, as Queen Ara said, we have to do a lot of people-centered developments for us to go anywhere. Otherwise, we're just trading our life for someone who's gonna shout out their fellow politicians or like benefit from a system that doesn't work for a lot of people. So whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in sports, whether it's in esports, in whatever facet of this particular country, we have to work from a point that people matter, their lives matter, their livelihoods matter, and their futures are not to be traded for politics. For cheap politicking. Their futures are not supposed to be traded for mouth shenanigans. We really can't do this anymore. People's lives are at stake, so we need to lock in and do the right thing. Yeah.
I know that, and you asked the fundamental questions. Are Malkia Stars not Kenyans? Are Harambee Stars players more Kenyan than Malkia Stars?
Yeah, but they watch mchezo. Pay any players what they deserve. I'm actually very mad.
Yeah.
I can't fully express the range of my anger today because I'm trying to contain myself. But honestly, the inventor of video cameras, thank you so much for coming to the help of a lot of people who probably their stories would have been gossip. So we really...
I think the Volleyball Federation should speak. They've been so silent, the new leadership. They are my friends.
Federations.
They should speak. They should speak.
Yeah. Federations. I really hope that your federation is going to be different, Ronnie.
Yeah.
It's already different.
Yeah.
Hatuna deni ya mchezaji.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Now, I hope watakula does Harambee Stars, because from what I heard is that some players, Hussein Mohammed, the president of FKF, was on Citizen yesterday, and he said that some players are yet to receive their allowance.
Yeah.
I hope itatoka. But I know itatoka just because of how on the spotlight Harambee Stars are.
Lazima tuyo pesa.
Yeah. But we like to end this show with a particular part where we like to call it the public participation section. This is where we hand the power back to you and update you on bills that are up for discussion. You can submit your memorandum, you can express yourself on social media. I believe that should count. For today, it's the Quality Healthcare and Patient Safety Bill. This is a bill that was introduced this year. It's a 2025 bill. It's just gone past the first reading. It's put for public participation. You can submit your opinions to the clerk of the National Assembly. Whether your opinion will be taken into consideration is something that is entirely in the hands of the National Assembly, but it's important that you express yourself in the ways that matter. But this bill is important specifically because we've seen a lot of things. Emergency care in Kenya is in ruins. If you get knocked down by a car, or if you're terribly ill and fatally injured by something and you're taken to a hospital, some of them can turn you back and you will not have any recourse. Funding for some of these institutions, like the Kenya Medical Practitioners Union, all of them, those institutions are barely being heard by government. Most of the times it's a normal thing to hear doctors going on strike. This bill can, from your interpretation, remove the power from the hands of these unions or give them power, give the possibility of good healthcare to you or take it away from you. Go read the bill, familiarize yourself with it, and submit your opinions by 5th of September. The other bill is the Kenya Judiciary Academy Bill. This one will affect people in the judicial arm of government and people who are practicing law in the country or anyone who's looking for recourse. Go read these bills, look at them, express yourself. So express yourself, whether it's through email or going to these public participation forums and they happen. We want to end the show on a very light note. Queen Arrow, how did you even end up doing law and esports at the same time?
I mean, I've been playing video games since I was 3 years old.
What was your favorite growing up?
Tomb Raider and Ape Escape 3. So my brother and my cousin are the ones who introduced me to it. Law is something that I just did because my parents felt it was the path to be on. I used to play basketball in undergrad, but I switched that with to esports after my first tournament back in 2017. I felt it was more preferable. So that's how I kind of decided to marry the two. And I also did my undergrad thesis on microtransactions in video games using the Kenyan Constitution as my foundation.
This is exactly what we've been speaking about, actually.
Kuna blueprint. Like, literally, she understands the game. Like, that's...
She plays it and understands it.
Kuna soft copy. Tumia watu.
So
that you can send to viewers.
Man, how do you... And how do you even get time to do all those things, man? And you also say you go to the gym.
Absolutely amazing.
It's crazy, but so much has been said on this episode today. I find this to be one of the most fun and enlightening episodes. I hope you feel the same way. That's it for us from The Big Picture. See you next week, a whole nother topic. Maybe we'll have you guys back to speak on different things because you're all just very competent in so many fields more than e-gaming. But you enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for watching The Big Picture. Catch you on the next one. Good night.